Okay, cool. So let's recap again what happened when you presented those prices, how it felt when you saw someone kind of like have a sticker shock, and then we can kind of go from there.
So, and maybe this is the something with the demographic that I'm getting, but it's happened more than once. But I can tell as soon as I actually, now this is only during the times when I actually have somebody in front of me, which has been 3, maybe 4 times. But as soon as we get kind of into brass tacks and I start talking about the cost and the details, so $499, 6-week transformation program, this is what it is. You know, 3 days a week training, meal plan, basically recap everything that we've talked about before that they agreed on. And then I hit them with the price, and right away, I can see not only that they're uncomfortable with it, but they can see that I'm reacting to them being uncomfortable with it too. And then I go into this, it's almost like a touch of panic mode, like I don't want to lose the sale. So right away, it's okay, well, if this is too strict and stringent for you, this is what we can do. This is my normal monthly cost. And, you know, the only difference is, the primary difference is, you know, there is no credit moving forward. So we'll go through, you know, a month, 2 months, or whatever the case may be, but it's a straight 125 a month, period. There's no, you know, if you make it all the way through the program, getting a credit moving into a 6-month or a year program after that. And that happened with the Tanisha girl, one of these days I'll remember her name. But with her, it was more, I kind of did that because we had already agreed that it was going to take more than 6 weeks to do what she needed to do. Because after we kind of went through how much she had wanted to lose, and you know what kind of things she had coming up that she wanted to get ready for, and her schedule and so on and so forth, it was very clear that she was going to need more than just a 6-week transformation. So I'd already kind of started thinking long term, and that's when she was like, okay, well, let me go get my card, and then ghosted. That had happened before that too. I was talking with somebody, we had gone over all of the details, and then I had gotten to the point where I revealed the price and told her what it was, and I could see the shock in her eyes, and she in turn saw the shock in my eyes from her being surprised, and I feel like that just kind of soured the whole thing. The lady that I was talking to on Friday, Megan, is that her name? No. I have to go back and look. Like, that's the other thing. I'm running names together because I'm just talking to people and then not talking to them. She was 50 years old, Gen Xer, even brought that up, talked about she had 6 kids, but they're all like moved out of the house with the exception of 2.
Okay.
We even went into like history and all kinds of shit. Just had a really, really good conversation. Now, she was drinking because she was getting ready to go to a concert. And then I told her I would talk to her the next day, and that's when she was kind of hungover and whatever, and was like, I'll get back to you. And then I haven't talked to her since. Tried to call her a couple times, messaged her once, and just no response whatsoever. Whatever the trigger is or the situation is, these people are definitely picking up on the fact that I am nervous when it comes to talking about money. They can see it, and I can see it, and I can smell it, and it really becomes a fumbling point when I'm dealing with them. Like, oh Jesus, like this guy isn't even comfortable with what he's charging, and you know they're already kind of either on the fence or highly doubting anything, and that just doesn't make it any better. So I will definitely say that the times that that's happened, it's almost like I kind of sunk my own ship before getting anything from them. Like, oh, he's uncomfortable, so why should I be comfortable? Kind of thing. And I guess if we're doing full disclosure here on things that make us uncomfortable, as a 51-year-old male, I have gotten some of the kind of head to toe look up and downs from these potential clients, almost as if they're like, hey, is this guy even in good enough shape to train me? So I'm very aware of that too. Now, I'm not too concerned about my appearance and that kind of crap or whatever. That's not, but it definitely plays a role. And considering that I'm dealing with so many women that are coming in the door, but they don't necessarily see that the majority of my clientele are women, I almost feel like I need to kind of address my own appearance in front of them as well too. Like I need to either soften my look or do something that makes them feel as if, hey, this is someone who's actually going to be able to relate to me and my needs and so on and so forth. So there's just a lot of fucking question marks that are popping up in my head as all of this stuff goes on. And it's boils down to basically low level insecurities across the board that are coming across when I'm actually in front of people. So there's that. It's just, which by the way, one of my appointments later on today is, of course, is for me to go to the gym. So yeah, it's a lot of self-discovery and in-your-face awareness that I really wasn't prepared for, but it's happening. So I just kind of have to swallow every tablespoon, I guess.
You gotta confront it.
Well,
like there's
not going anywhere, so I gotta do something.
I 100%. And it's interesting because as you are on this journey of seeing people who are in pain and want to lose weight and transform, and you have the expertise and you're getting this interest, then you start to realize like there's a limit to my ability because something inside is saying I don't deserve this.
Yeah.
And so you have this idea of
low level imposter syndrome, right? I guess.
And I get that too, because your business is going to be a reflection of what you put up with and your standards. And if you feel like you can absolutely transform, and by charging $125, but the service is like a high level service that you should be getting way more than that, that's one way to think. But if you're fighting someone to pay $125 and you feel like they can't afford that, that's another way of putting your own feelings of money onto someone else. Like it's not up to you to decide what they can afford. And so, and I attribute money like resources and resourcefulness. If someone really wanted to come up with $125 and they have a phone and they have a car, they have it.
Yeah.
And so if any time someone says, oh, $500 is a lot, or they go $125 is a lot, that tells me I didn't do a good enough job in the beginning of the conversation. Meaning I didn't dig hard enough and obviously we'll get more into this later when we train specifically on this, like better questions, more intention questions, really digging. For example, if you ever go back to your previous sales conversations in person and the majority of the person talking is you, that means the sales conversation wasn't deep enough for them, because the majority of selling should be them talking. Meaning
the majority of my conversations has been me talking.
Sure. And so the reason why I said that is because I'm detecting if you're talking a lot because you might be nervous, you're feeling the air, you're filling the space with like information, and you're like, if I just tell them enough information, they're gonna buy. Well, the reality is information isn't transformation. It's logic. You're trying to rationalize them when these are people who are irrational when it comes to their health and fitness. So you can't have logic and rationale with someone who is irrational. You have to meet them where they are. You can't have them meet you where you are. And so if you're trying to like spew, and this is just me, like if you're trying to say, here's all this fitness stuff that's going to help you, they can Google this stuff. But what they can't Google is someone saying, so you're telling me You want to lose 30 pounds. You want to feel better. And you've been stuck in the same place for 3.5 years. Is that right? Yeah. And what else have you tried? Really? How did that feel doing that and not being able to see results? Really? I get it. You know, I was just talking to one of my clients, Betty. She's down 27 pounds in the last 3.5 months. And she reminds me a lot like you. You're trying all these different things. But she realized, and I asked her this, you know, I was like, hey, Betty, why do you think joining my program helped you to transform? And she said the only reason it really helped was because someone was holding me accountable. I can Google all the information. There's more information on YouTube, and I tried it. But I just got confused, and I didn't know what to do. And when there was just one person telling me do this and do that, it helped to clear the air of exactly what I needed to do. And so from the sounds of things, Jessica, sounds like we just need to do a few simple things. But let me ask you this. And so if you see what I was doing, I was slowing down. I was pacing myself. I was allowing space for silence, because when you do that, they really fucking feel it, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And so one of the things that will help improve value at the end is better discovery and going like 7 layers deep into someone saying, I want to lose weight. Where it can go, I want to lose weight. Cool. How much weight do you want to lose? 40 pounds. 40 pounds. Why 40 pounds? Well, it's how much I weighed before my kids. Oh, okay. Then why not stay where you are now? Like, what's the problem? What's the issues you're dealing with now? Okay. And when you were 40 pounds lighter, why do you want to get to there? Yeah, it's before your kids. You weighed less, sure. But why? Like, why is that important? Well, I had more energy. Okay. So you have more energy. Why is having more energy important to you? Okay. And what does not having energy in your day-to-day look like? Okay. And so let's say 2 to 3 years from now, you're still stuck in the same place. How do you think that would feel? Okay. And let's say we got you halfway to your goal, 20 pounds. 20 pounds down 3 sizes. You have a bit more energy. How do you think you would feel then? Okay. And why do you think you haven't been able to lose the weight on your own? Like, what do you feel like has been holding you back? Oh, no, yeah, no, I get it. Yeah, totally get it. But I guess at the end of the day, why do you feel like you need help? Like, why do you feel like, because you said you tried things. Is it motivation? Is it like you give up on yourself? Like, why do you think, okay. And look, let's all be honest. Like, we dug our own hole. Now we got to get out of it. And that's why you're here, right? Totally. Okay, so I think I got a good idea of where you're at. And you see how many questions I've asked. I just dug, and I like isolated things and got her feeling. And I call this kind of contrast, compare and contrast, like heaven and hell. So like heaven is like the goal, hell is like where you're at. So how would it feel to lose, and I wouldn't say 40 pounds, I'd say how would it feel just to get halfway? Okay, how would it feel to stay where you are for the next 2 to 3 years? Because you've been stuck for 2 to 3 years, right? How about another 2 or 3 years? So when I make it logical, like you've been stuck for 2 to 3 years, how would it feel? Okay. And so I go by feel, I go by what do you think, I go by how do you feel? Because a lot of times people are in their own heads. They don't know how it would feel, but they would just guess. And then you have them live there and you do this like heaven and hell contrast. Because what we're trying to do is take them from where they are to where they want to go, and our program is the gap in between. And then as they're feeling like crap and they're in their emotions and they're hyped and they're getting this sense of like they're in there, we need them to feel it. So mainly the idea behind sales is we really need to be able to get their pain, essentially get that wound, open it up, pour some salt in it, and let them feel it. And pause. And they're like, oh, it's hurting. You're like, yeah, you need to have this feeling, because you go through your day-to-day and you simply just ignore it. you know, and then I would go more into the pain and like hell, and then I'd pitch the price. I pitch the program. So I'm like, okay, how would it feel if you just hopped on the scale, and how much do you weigh now? 250, and you didn't see the 2 in front, you saw the 1. How do you think it'd feel? Okay, and what size like clothes are you? 22. Cool. So how would it feel if you put on an 18 and they started getting loose? Yeah, okay. And how would it feel if you went through your day and you had more energy, you were more productive? How would it feel? And so I just literally go, how would you feel? How would you feel? How would it feel? And then I'd pitch the price. So we'll get into that, but I know you gotta go, and I have another meeting to go into, but I have so much more to go into this because I really feel like once you have more confidence, the money will come. And then once we work on the sales and you close people and you have the confidence to say, I'm worth 125. And honestly, with the leads, you'll probably get, maybe we just bring the prices down, get some sales, get your confidence, and then bump the prices up. And then once you start closing, you're going to realize I'm worth it. And then obviously, once you start working with more people, you start transforming them, and they start praising you. Like, oh my gosh, I have so much energy. Oh my gosh, Sean, I lost 5 pounds. Oh my gosh. Then you'll have more confidence in your program. And I think through that, we'll work through a lot of self-healing as well. So I not only feel like the opportunity ahead of you is obviously to grow your business and make more money, but I think also the opportunity to realize is to work on your self-confidence. And I really think that's a very powerful realization of being upfront and putting all your cards on the table and saying, this is my starting point, this is where I am. And I think the last thing I'll say before we both gotta go and end things is, I think a structured approach to both calling, booking appointments, and in-person conversations and pitching, like here's the price, here's the presentation, and like saying it with confidence, chest up held high, like it's this, and then this is how you present it, and like then you shut up. And then once they say, oh my gosh, that's a lot of money, then having a specific way of handling that, you'll feel more equipped for every next conversation. And then you won't feel lost, you won't feel unsure, you won't feel like, where do I go from here? And honestly, I think that next step is just more structure and more practice. So I've got so much more to share, but I know you gotta go, I gotta go as well. Let me know a few times tomorrow, and we can go over more of this in a more structured manner. Cool?
Okay.
My man.